Candace Owens. You're friends with Candace, I would imagine.
Yeah.
She's saying, people, you better stand the fuck up real quick. That sounds like an alarmist.
I don't think it's alarmist. I think it's coming here quicker than people realize. The reason that cancel culture works is we put up with this. There are some people that should be canceled, like Jeffrey Epstein, okay, or Harvey Weinstein. Ruling class is allowed to do things that you and I are not allowed to do. Anyone that challenges the ruling class, they're going to throw everything they have at.
Are the judges and top, law enforcement people in on it?
Yeah, I do think we are on the proverbial last gasp of a republic, but I think it's reversible. So here's just a couple marching orders. People say, Charlie, I'm fed up with it.
What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I've got a real treat for you. Actually, he's not in the studio. He's coming through on Zoom because his ass is busy running around the country. Charlie Kirk, what's happening?
Traveling like crazy. Honored to be here. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Guys, if you guys don't already know who he is, founder and president of Turning Point USA, host of the Charlie Kirk Show. He's a almost, I don't want to say like a political pundit, but he's big in politics. He's big in knowing what the hell's going on. He's smarter than shit. He's very hard to debate with because every time I see him on a debate or any kind of controversial thing, he's destroying whoever's opening their lips. So I don't know where you get this knowledge, Charlie, but it's impressive. Where you study this every day? You read a lot of books?
Yeah, I some people work out every single day. I try to do that too, but I take 2 hours a day. I turn off my phone and I read and I listen and I study and I question. I love to learn. I think that that's part of kind of the yearning in the human soul, which is to know more about our existence and kind of the world we live in. And I happen to enjoy it a lot. So kind of on our show and our podcast, we try to teach people stuff every day and make sense of the news. And we have some pretty strong opinions of what's happening out there. But no, yeah, I take learning very seriously, but I appreciate the compliment very much. So thank you.
My pleasure. Hey, I saw Candace Owens. You're friends with Candace, I would imagine.
Yeah. I'm laughing because Candace and I, she actually worked for Turning Point for a couple of years. She was our communications director. So yeah, I know Candace. She's a really good friend. She's phenomenal.
Well, I just saw a video of hers. A lot of my friends were sharing out just recently. I don't know if you saw it, but basically she's saying, people, you better stand the fuck up real quick. That sounds like an alarmist, but at the end of the day, how real is that?
Look, Candace is exactly right. That if people don't wake up and start to do something and start to stand up and honestly say, I don't care kind of what you call me or what, pejorative you throw at me or how you mock me or ridicule me or slander me, I'm going to stand for truth. And I know it's right. And it's a very decent American principle, which is you should be able to succeed and to take risks and be an entrepreneur without having this kind of overwhelming totalitarian fear that has now set in. So I have to say, I agree with Candace. I don't think it's alarmist. I think it's coming here quicker than people realize. In fact, some of it's already here.
Well, number one, I don't think a lot of people know what to do because, again, they raise their hand themselves individually. They get shut down. Cancel culture knocks them out of the race, and now they're silent. I mean, they silenced Donald Trump, bro. How is a guy like me going to go make a big difference by raising the voice? What can we do?
Yeah. So a couple things. First, one of my kind of operating thesis is that it matters for everyone to speak out in every single capacity. That small action can mean really major action. And I think you need to be the same person in public that you are in private, which you do a wonderful job of, obviously. But I'll just use kind of one non-political example that I think your audience will resonate with, that I've been focusing on, and I don't even like the guy. I think he's kind of a jerk, which is the firing of Jon Gruden, where Jon Gruden's emails came back 10 years ago and somehow he was being racist and transphobic. And then all of a sudden you saw that he has to lose his entire professional career. What can we do about it? There should have been a massive outrage about that. There should have been a huge backlash to the fact that you're just allowed to terminate someone because we find some emails that we don't like from you 10 years ago. So that's like one example, but the reason that cancel culture works is we put up with it. We allow our heroes and our people to be canceled. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, Charlie, what do we do when you say speak out? Like, what's everyone supposed to do? March on the Raider Stadium? Like, in that example, what are you supposed to do? Because I think it's fucked up. I think it's bullshit. But at the end of the day, you know, the organization is the one that fired him. The organization, it's not like this you know, cancel culture committee calls up and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to terminate him, otherwise you're out of business." Someone made the
Well,
decision to do it.
it's a little bit more like that than you might think. There's advertiser boycotts. There's all sorts of concerted, centralized efforts that go there. So the Gruden is one non-political example, but I'll say one thing that everyone can do. Everyone listening to this right now has a friend that has been fired recently because he said something politically incorrect, or, you know, you have an opportunity if you want to actually stand by someone at that particular moment. And that's actually what matters more. And I mean, everyone has their own personal examples, but it could be, you know, whether it be one of our advisory board members at Turning Point USA, who some journalist goes after, is like, oh, he's sending a newsletter he shouldn't be sending. And I'll never forget, and again, this is just one small example, the journalist reaches out, is like, oh, are you going to ask him to resign from your advisory board? I say, absolutely not. What, are you kidding me? And so I guess what I'm getting at, and you're right, there is this monolith where people feel disempowered and people feel small. I think that's kind of what you're getting at, and helpless. Is that on the micro, whether it be a high school football coach or whether it be a coworker or a friend that comes under that same sort of thing, like, oh, he's a racist because he sent out a text message. Like, no, actually, he's a pretty decent person, and I'm not going to put up with that. But you'd be amazed at how silent people are when this happens to peers. And because they're like, oh, as long as it is not happening to me, you know, I'll privately support you. We have to cut that out. And then the other thing is that we should do the opposite. We should support the canceled people even more so. And so, you know, again, I'm not just use the Jon Gruden example, is that he should have been hired by another sports team that proposes to say that they're against cancel culture, college football team or whatever. But it's not just Jon Gruden. It's hundreds of examples. They're trying to cancel Aaron Rodgers. They're trying to cancel Joe Rogan. I don't think they'll be successful with either of those. But yeah, my theory is that cancel culture is largely powerful because we kind of look around and we're happy it's not happening to us.
So, see, man, my brain's going a million directions as you're talking, because you bring up all these good points. Like, for example, I'm wondering, how come they're not trying to cancel you, or are they?
Oh, of course they are, but you don't have to. You can't let them. That's the point. I mean, every day they come after. I mean,
Yeah,
I deal with these.
but nobody lets them. I mean,
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but Charlie, look at all your followers, dude. Look at all Candace's followers. Look at all Trump's followers. Like, following people means they're buying into what you're saying, dude. Because if they didn't buy into what you were saying, they wouldn't be following you. They'd be hating on you.
Yeah, but the cancel culture never comes from a mass amount of people. It's always a small, angry, venomous kind of just group of keyboard warriors. I'll give you an example. Like, they tried to make me apologize for takes that I've had. And if I were to do that, then I would only give them more power, or to hold certain political positions, or to stop, you know, speaking out on certain issues that I might like. And so they try to cancel every day. So one of the ways that you could fight against cancel culture is you do not apologize to them unless you did something legitimately wrong. You don't even validate them. You go right after them when they attack you. And then you bring up a very important point, is you have to go build your own audience outside of anything that they actually control. You know, I control the passwords to my social media outside of Facebook kicking me off, or Google, which we deal with every day. We kind of build our own owned and operated audience. That's why Rogan is so incredibly powerful. Jon Gruden, despite being super powerful and popular, was employed at the will, I guess you could say, of the Las Vegas Raiders organization. So look, someone that they're trying to cancel right now that they're not going to be able to, which is the playbook, is Dave Portnoy. Dave lives a much more colorful life than I do. Let me just say, I love the guy. He's hilarious, and he is irreverent, and he's very, very smart, but they're trying to destroy him. And I think because he's punching back, he's not accepting the premise. They're not going to let him. And let me be also clear that there are some people that should be canceled, you know, like Jeffrey Epstein, okay, or Harvey Weinstein. That's not what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about people that said jokes, said things that were off color, that all of a sudden you want to try to destroy their livelihood, when of course the same sort of book of rules, if you will, is not even applied to people that are supportive of the regime, right? Whether it be Hunter Biden or whether it be people, the top letter, Chris Cuomo or Don Lemon from CNN, who's credibly accused of sexual assault as well and is in a lawsuit over it. None of those people actually have to be under those sort of things. So
for the listeners, I'm trying to take it to where people will feel like they know what to do. Like, for example, the Raiders require a team to go to a Raider game. My choice is, well, then I'm not going to a Raider game. All I can do is vote with my dollars and stop supporting the Raiders. I just won't go. Now, if everybody, or at least everyone who felt the same, decided to do that, there would only be people that believe in mandates going to that game. So that would be like how we speak out, like vote with your dollars. What do you think of that?
That's a great, I love that. Yeah. And I also want to say that can feel very disempowering for people, because it's like, oh, what difference could I make? It's just me, right? Well, I think it is a big difference. And I think the institutions and the companies are actually far more fragile than we give them credit for. And boycotts do work. When they boycott, it absolutely does work. And I think that we have to be very serious about, kind of as purchasers, as consumers, do we actually want to support companies that are in alignment with our values? Do we want to go to sporting events that are in alignment with our values? And yeah, look, I've done this for quite some time. And people say, oh, it's just me. That's a disempowered way to look at it. It's too cynical. I can't stand cynicism. It drives me nuts. I never want people feel as if what they do does not matter. I think it's the opposite. I think human experience tells us that what you do actually matters a lot. It's actually the reason for living, in what you eat and how you communicate and the words you choose and where you travel and the people you associate with, and also the kind of products that you purchase. But yes, right now you are correct, because we've done not nothing, but very little for the last 20 or 30 years, that there is this set of circumstances where people can feel very helpless and powerless, but that's not an excuse to do nothing.
Well, I agree. But if everyone was connected, like let's say we had a way that we're all connected and that happened and everyone just automatically knew, okay, no more funding that. Like, let's say McDonald's did something. We just said no more McDonald's. If McDonald's went out of business because we all collectively got together, that's our form of cancel culture. In other words, if they have one, how come we can't have one?
We should. No, I'm saying, like, and I'm not a fan of it. I wish we weren't in that kind of, set of circumstances where, we could be absent of this kind of harsh retaliatory environment. But for example, I'll give you an example that actually worked, is when Coca-Cola came out and they had two things. Number one, they had a whole lecture on how we need to abolish whiteness from our society, real thing. And then number two, they came out against the Georgia voting law, saying it's against their values at the company of Coca-Cola, like a completely outrageous thing to say, right? I mean, what's a soft drink company acting like a Democrat super PAC? And they saw a huge hit, and they still do, of employee backlash, of distributor backlash, of consumer backlash. And, that's one example. Delta Airlines is another example where Delta Airlines backed down and they're no longer mandated vaccine for their employees. And that was a huge win. And so there's also buy-cotts, which is supporting the good guys, right? Which is like In-N-Out Burger in California that refuses to enforce vaccine for their customers. Their business has gone up by like 15 to 20% in the last couple of weeks. People want to support the good guys and they want to stop supporting bad guys. So look, obviously we complain about cancel culture. It shouldn't happen, but I'm not going to sit idly by and act as if we have no power when they try to destroy our life.
Me too. And we appreciate that you're not. Again, when I'm listening to you, at the end of the day, I think the silent majority, I think there's more of us than they think, but I'm starting to wonder because I talk to a lot of, people, and it seems like some of them are like, I don't understand how they think. And it's just mind blowing. But to me, the Hunter Biden, the Anthony Weiner laptop, like where's all this evidence? How are these people so damn powerful? They could literally take evidence everyone knows about and no one ever gets in trouble. It just vanishes. Like, how's that possible? Are the judges and top, law enforcement people in on it?
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, we don't know to what extent. I mean, let's just use one example, the Hunter Biden story, which is, it's egregious. And like, we have to go moralize against Dave Portnoy when you see what Hunter Biden's done in his life. Like, really, he's the president's son. I find that to be laughable. And so then you have Hunter Biden, he's a seasoned criminal. He's dealt with addiction, which I don't want to put light of. A lot of people have that issue and that problem. I hope you seek help. But make no mistake that if it came out that Donald Trump Jr. had a problem, there wouldn't be this massive sympathy, kind of parade like, oh, we must feel so sorry for him. But the stuff that Hunter Biden did that he gets away with that he shouldn't is the fact that he did legitimate business deals with international adversaries, where he took money from the Russian Federation, from the mayor of Moscow's wife, to the business deals with the Chinese Communist Party. And so, but look, there is a two-tier justice system where the ruling class is allowed to do things that you and I are not allowed to do. And anyone that challenges the ruling class, they're going to throw everything they have at you. And so we could complain about it, or we could try to fix it and try to expose it, which is obviously, why life's work is in. But yes, the Hunter Biden thing in particular, where you see that we were not even allowed to discuss the Hunter Biden laptop in the month of October on social media without losing access to our social media feeds. Not to mention Hunter Biden saying that we're going to have 10% of the shares for the big man, which is obviously Joe Biden, according to the testimony of Tony Bobulinski. I could go on and on and on. But yes, you have to realize that what we are now asking is the government to investigate the people who built that very government. And what do I mean? Joe Biden built the personnel structure in the Department of Justice, right? The Clintons did as well. They got all their friends and their cronies into those positions for decades. And so now we're like, oh, why won't they indict them? I mean, they've been going to their birthday parties and their bar mitzvahs and their, graduation ceremonies for a long time. And so, yeah, in order to try to decouple that, we need a restoration of the American rule of law. And also, I think we need to be a lot more clear about what it actually is to be, the enforcement of the law, the equal application of it, and so on and so forth.
Dude, you ever gonna run for president?
No. I'm 28. I mean, who knows, 10, 15, I don't know, but I have no interest in running for anything. I love radio. I love podcasting. I get to say whatever I want, whenever I want to say it. And when people hate me, it only helps us. So it's great.
But I think the president, the position of the president of the United States, should be able to say anything as well.
I agree. I just, I'm 20. First of all, I'm 7 years too young. And there's plenty of other qualified people besides me.
If you're listening to this, you like what you're hearing. I'm basically trying to get Charlie to tell us what we can actually do to speak out, because getting on your social media and harping about it, unless you're famous, isn't really going to reach anybody. So that's not speaking out in my book. Vote with your dollars. And then number 2, go vote at the local election. Get the seats, the right people in the right seats. Yeah.
Yeah. School boards, city councils, local municipalities. And so here's just a couple marching orders. People say, Charlie, I'm fed up with it. Be the same person in public that you are in private. Never pretend you believe something you do not. It's very, very important. Reject self-pity at every corner. Do not be cynical, and do not make people feel, you got to feel sorry for me because everything's going so terribly. Stop it. I can't stand that stuff. So reject that completely. And then finally, try to meaningfully impact your local area. School boards, mayor's races, city council. And it's going to take a lot of work. And it's also going to take sacrifice. And so sometimes our audiences, they act as if saving the country is like going on a diet, right? Like, all right, I just got to buy the stuff, stop eating this, and I'm going to lose 15 pounds. Like, that's not how this works, okay? This is going to be sometimes 5 to 10 years of work to get something meaningfully done on a local area. That really intimidates some people. This is the opposite of like the feel-good message, right? It's the opposite of like the get rich quick. It's like, no, actually, you might have to labor in this field for a long time, get your teeth kicked in, lose all your friends, be mocked and ridiculed, slandered, punched in the face to maybe make a minuscule difference. But it's worth it. It's our country. It's the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. And, just to sit idly by and hope it fixes itself, I think it is morally questionable.
If everybody goes out and votes all the Democrats out of the seats, out of the governor's seats, out of the House, out of the Congress, is that going to like flip this thing? Would it end everything? Is that the only solution?
No, we need a mindset shift. It needs to not just look, that's a big step. Trust me, that's a good step, but we need to keep pressure on them. We need to have people start to demand more out of their leaders. We need to have a reframing of what it means to be an American citizen, which is a co-ruler of your nation. We have to have a whole reframing of the mind, which is something obviously we're trying to encourage. And it's America's done this before. We've gone through apathetic cycles before. I do think we are on the proverbial last gasp of a republic, unfortunately. Every single statistic you see is what a republic experiences towards the end. But I think it's reversible. I do. But I don't think politics is our only hope. I don't. I think it's going to take a lot more than that.
Because you got to go, I got to jump from topic. Dude, I could sit there and talk to you for about 6 hours straight.
You got to do it again then sometime soon.
Well, I just want to wake some people up, because I guarantee you there's more good people out there that may just not have the right information, and all they need is the right information so they know what to do. Because again, speak out. Everyone should be speaking out. How? But I hear you talking about abortion a lot. Now,
yes,
is your position on abortion that they shouldn't get one ever at all?
Maybe only in the life of the mother could I make an exception.
Okay, and then not even in the first, like, when it's a little seedling or a little tadpole.
Absolutely not. No, size is irrelevant to human decency. You believe that too. You believe that. You don't believe someone shorter than you.
I do to a point. Like, in other words, if someone said, Brad, what's your opinion? Well, in my opinion, if there's some extenuating circumstances and it's like in a certain window, it technically it should be the mother's decision. But as soon as it like again, late term and even middle term,
but why does that make it? Does a human being become more important as it gets bigger?
Well, no, but I personally don't think it's a human being when it's just a little fertilized egg.
Why? What's the difference?
Because how do you know that is going to go full term anyway?
Well, it's the DNA though. As soon as DNA is formed, that's when human life begins. It's a new, unique, wholly formed being that is growing. We're all still growing, right? We're all maturing. So, I mean, when we start to have like these arbitrary lines, like, oh, it's like bigger, therefore it's more valuable. It's like, well, it's more recognizable, but it's still a human being.
True. I will tell you this, though, if everybody was more responsible, as if that was the law, where if you got pregnant, there is no choices, no matter what the instance, I think people be a little more responsible with their behaviors. Last one.
I agree.
Charlie, how can the bomb squad pay you back, bro? How can we support you? How can we go out there and help in any way?
We have a podcast that everyone can find on Apple Podcast or Spotify. You just open it up and type Charlie Kirk Show into it. On the upper right-hand corner, there is a plus sign, which is how you subscribe now. That helps us a lot. Just fight back against cancel culture. And this is a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Man, I really appreciate your time being here, folks. You heard it from Charlie Kirk. Go follow him. Go support him. And until next time, keep shit real. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks so much. You bet.